Boom. WNBC.
Fuck it. We'll do it live.
WNBC. What the fuck is up? Adam Taylor Barker.
Who we just got off Nate's re-entry podcast with.
Check out our buddy Nate Davis's podcast, Re-Entry, where he is trying to re-enter the racket of screenwriting, and he's interviewing all kinds of awesome people and us.
Having people, read scripts, give them notes.
Yeah, taking live notes.
Which I'm normally not one of, but in this case.
The script is pretty fucking good.
Played ball.
So it was more like just a brainstorming session on a few things he could work out, you know?
Yeah.
Which is refreshing. But we're here with Adam, produced screenwriter, just wrapped on your film, Wash Me in the River, right?
Congratulations, man. Cheers to
that.
Dude, Thank Robert you, De Niro, John Malkovich, who ended up being the lead in it?
Jack Huston.
Right.
I thought it was Huston, but it's actually.
But you went through points where you had Machine Gun Kelly and Taylor Kitsch and all this, you know.
Yeah, man. It was pretty weird. Wow. Sorry, I'm like walking around here because my daughter just woke up. So I'm going to go to our garage.
Do what you gotta do, man.
Give me a little tour.
Man. I kind of dig it. Yeah.
Beautiful Santa Barbara.
Yeah.
Living the screenwriter's life.
That took like so much longer than I thought it would. So.
How long did it take overall? I'm less familiar than Jay with the whole story.
I'm not
sorry. No, I'm at the combo with Nate.
Just the one with Nate. Yeah,
we're all idea guys. Once you get us talking, sparking,
we can't shut us up, right?
You say something gets me thinking.
Yeah. Okay. So we're just hanging out here. If my daughter sees me, she's gonna get upset. So I was like sitting outside. She can see me through the window.
Right.
I get notifications on my phone when she wakes up from her nap. It's pretty cool.
Crazy. Digital age.
Okay. Yeah. So no, the movie, just wrapped, which is awesome. I think they shot for like a month in Puerto Rico.
Fuckers still owe you some loot, you say?
What was that?
So the fuckers still owe you some loot, you say?
They do. Yeah.
It's the writer's life.
I know, man. Yeah. It's crazy. Like you think you negotiate a contract and you think, well, you just adhere to the contract, but apparently if someone with a lot of money doesn't want to,
it's all about leverage. You got none.
They don't have to. No one's gonna like come and knock their door down and force them to do anything. You have to pay out of pocket to go to court to get them. So
we've had the Writers Guild help us on this.
The Guild can threaten to blacklist them. That's what you got to do. Go to the Guild. The Guild will send a letter saying we will blacklist you.
But the position I'm in is this is a company that already is on their shit list. So
so they don't give a fuck. That's hilarious.
Yeah. You know what's fucked up?
It's like being uncancelable.
There's a lot of companies on their list that do the same bullshit and don't get the movie made with De Niro and shit in it. So props to this shitty company that's not
exactly.
It's
hard to complain. It is hard to complain. It's nice to have a pandemic produced movie. I mean,
for sure, especially with legends in it. I mean, Christ.
Yeah. So I mean, all things considered, I'm pretty happy with it. You know.
Have you thought about, because I know you don't fuck around, you're kind of like us, have you thought about going to like kneecap somebody and get your money and shit?
Oh yeah. I mean, the thing I wanted to say was like, do you know who wrote the fucking movie that you made that's about someone like seeking revenge and like blowing kneecaps?
Part of the reason we made Cactus Jack is so no one will try and fuck with us. Like, you want to fuck with the guys who made this?
Exactly.
I know, yeah.
We've had people say that about our other scripts too. Like, we don't want to get on your bad side, man. We read The Revenger.
So they meet us and realize we're fat stoners and shit.
Yeah. The reason you wrote about it is because you wouldn't do it.
Exactly.
We're writing about what our dad was, but he left us, so we grew up pussies, raised by women.
Funny. Yeah, I was writing about my uncle. Yeah, so it was similar. Yeah.
Go find some uncles to go get your money. Anyway, we're here to talk about.
Yeah, if he was still around, man, I swear to God, I could tell him, and he'd be out here in 3 days.
I mean, considering you wrote a passion piece, right?
Yeah.
And this is your favorite movie we're here to talk about, Blue Ruin. I think there will be some overlap. And we'll probably get back into your film more and shit too.
Yeah. I mean, that's if you ask me like why that's my favorite, like it's probably not my favorite movie in a vacuum. But it's the background to it that makes it my favorite movie. Like the fact that, I mean, number one, the genre, number two, the way they bootstrapped it,
crowdfunded.
The way that they, felt like they were up against the wall, about to be out of the industry and just made a project the way that you guys did.
I read they were like
they were a little smarter.
They had families and they felt like they couldn't keep making movies with their, you know, their life situation. And I saw they had made a Murder Party prior to that. Have you seen that?
I haven't seen that. Yeah,
I watched
that
the other day. It looks insane.
We gotta make that one of our picks for Cinephiliacs.
Yes.
Yeah. I do want to.
But they had made that together, and then they were like, you know, all right, we're going to make one more movie and see what happens, you know, before we just like give up.
And they put it all on the line. I mean, I think they maxed out their credit cards and like dipped into their savings and everything. So,
which is a great story. It's always, I mean, there is a
great story.
Trail of Tears,
Cinderella story,
death march of people who have done that.
Yes.
Yeah.
And you're not talking about them.
Oh yeah, there's an alternate
Robert
reality.
Townsends and the, you know, Jeremy Saulniers and Macon Blairs that did it, but
there's other realities in which that didn't work out, and they're now divorced and homeless.
Right,
and shit.
exactly.
Right.
They had the goods. It's sort of like bands, you know, like the vast majority of them go nowhere or whatever.
But that's all.
These guys have the actual goods, man. They
yeah, I mean, they bet on themselves because they believe in themselves, you know.
Exactly.
So,
Exactly.
There's a fine line between like stupidity and genius, right?
Delusion and pragmatism, you know what I mean, or knowing that you have a legitimate shot if you can pull this one thing off.
Yeah, and there's a lot of people that don't have the capability of really knowing if they are good enough, or they just delusionally believe it, right?
I'm still not sure about myself on that.
Yeah, and how you can't know, right?
Jack, neither am I.
You can't really know until you validated. You know?
Then there's the Tommy Wiseau side of it. Now he just threw a bunch of money at it, but still,
right. Still worked out in a different way.
Yeah, I have an appreciation for cheesy, you know, bad, like quote unquote bad stuff and everything. So
well, like the Disaster Artist isn't even a celebration of that so much as making a fucking movie, conjuring a movie into reality from nothing, from your own head, whether it sucks or not.
That alone
is American
a badge
movie
of honor.
is about.
Right, and the fact, I mean, the guy's a character in and of himself, so that works out to be able to make a movie about the guy that made a movie. Exactly. So, yeah, I mean, I think the result really ends up really not mattering in the end, the way it was received. You know, it was just that process of making a movie. That's true.
Now, Blue Ruin came out in 2013. You had probably hit the blacklist maybe a year or two before that or something, right?
That year, actually, that year of 2013, actually, yeah.
So that really spoke to you, I'm sure. That man,
I don't even know if I watched it that year or not. I don't remember the year I watched it, but definitely. I mean, that was, you know, the script that I broke in writing was essentially a revenge pseudo survival thriller.
Do you remember The Low Dweller?
Yeah.
That was huge for us. That was the script for us. That was like, you can write this poetic, dark, Southern fried, neo-noir type shit. And even, you know, in retrospect, with DiCaprio attached for a minute and shit, sell it for $1 million. We ended up signing with Asola because he had repped that script and everything.
Like right on the heels of its success. We were like, yes, we're golden.
Yeah. And that was like the end of it too. I mean,
that was the end of it.
Like the end of those kinds of scripts.
As usual, just missed
got bamboozled. And for people who don't know, The Low Dweller was a script written by Brad Inglesby that then languished for years. DiCaprio was attached, sold for $1 million. It languished for years. DiCaprio jumped off. People jumped on and off. What's his name? Scott Cooper got a hold of it, rewrote the shit out of it, and turned it into Out of the Furnace.
To the point of like, there's the only words that are the same in those are the words of like the and a and. I
don't understand why The Low Dweller had to die for Out of the Furnace.
That's what I don't get. Yeah, exactly. At the time I was like so mad about it. I was like, so this fucking script that everybody loves, that never gets to exist ever. You know, in history that can't exist. Unless they buy it. I mean, I don't think you can buy it back, right? So.
If I was Inglesby, I'd try and buy that shit back and direct it myself. Fuck it.
Yeah, man.
Write it as a novel.
Probably like in really bad lighting probably in here, but
it's fine, dude.
He's still like 10 times better than us, Thor looking motherfucker.
I think you said it right. Like, fuck it, we're doing it live. Like, literally, I didn't plan. I told my wife before we did the last one, I was like, there's nothing. It's a good script. It'll take 45 minutes.
Yeah.
And then we'll do this one. That'll be an hour. It'll be like an hour 45 minutes.
She's like, you sons of bitches. Well, we're on the clock. So
this has a buzzer ours will be done. Fortuitously. Yeah. That was partly why we chose it, because we would go for fucking 5 hours sometimes. And
that is better, man. Because the last one actually went over, didn't it? So.
Oh yeah, it went past our buzzer at the hour mark, which was hilarious. We pranked them with our buzzer for those who don't know. Now, you and Alex, right? Or Felix, I don't know what he goes by exactly.
Alex Bendanya or Alex Felix or
Alex Felix, another Blacklist writer, I think, right? Both of you guys teamed up, and you made a short film, which was a proof of concept for a feature. So I know you got directing chops because I remember watching that and like this shit tonally, just everything's on point. You guys can make a movie. One of the things Jeremy Saulnier, however you say his name, one of the things he had going for him was Macon Blair. To have that actor already, we had our Michael Gall say what you want about our movie. We knew we had a sick actor that we could do something with. That's half the battle.
Yeah,
that's a good point.
If you're gonna max your credit cards, you got to find that fucking actor, dude, or be that actor like a Shane Carruth or whatever. You know,
that was one reason I picked the movie too. Was like the background of Wash Me in the River was, you know, I wrote that to just make it. Yes, and like the first page was like literally this. It was gonna be me. I was just gonna make it. And I was just gonna act in it and just say fuck it. You know, it's gonna be like, you know, whatever I could scrap together, like 20 grand, or which I think is what you guys did. About and then like use, and I had just locations in there that I knew about. So like bars, you know, different houses that I thought like matched, like a farmhouse. And then the very first page was like the character riding a dirt bike past a putt-putt golf course, which has been in my hometown for like 20 years and has been like dilapidated. So it looks like a place that's like been abandoned. It looks like a city that's been abandoned, but it's not. And that somehow that stuck in the screenplay even now. So like I even saw like on Instagram, they went and found a place that looked like that, which is funny.
What, man? As sick as it is that you got De Niro and Malkovich and all these fucking amazing people involved to make your movie, I want to see the version you would make yourself more.
I know, yeah, you know, because it ended up, it's kind of like the Low Dweller in a way. Like it ended, I think it'll end up being something completely different, like that I didn't intend for it to be whatsoever. I mean, I love that they cast De Niro. Malkovich is casting a character that I didn't write. Like I didn't even write that character. So it was really weird. Like I stalked like everybody on Instagram, like watching
I would
them,
be
like
obsessive to this shit.
Yeah, and like, cause I mean, otherwise, like I'm not involved at all. But I'm seeing like De Niro read lines and walk around in like the outfit that I created. But then I see Malkovich saying lines. I'm like, that's trippy because he to me it's like it's a disconnect.
Man, those lines De Niro is saying are way better than that Malkovich. They should have brought in a guy to rewrite that dialogue. What's up?
I mean, honestly, yeah, that probably will be in the end. I didn't write those lines. I wrote the lines for De Niro.
You're a bad motherfucker, dude. We've always talked like out of all the dudes. Like if we could staff up Revenger, if we had got it going or something like that ourselves, you'd be one of the first names we would throw out for sure. As far as
I appreciate it, man. I feel the same about you guys. Like I think I've actually stolen something from you, which is formatting, stylistic. The M dash thing. I don't know if that's what you call it. It's like it's not the double, but like you press it twice, it becomes a line. Whatever the fuck that's called. I love that. Is that what it is?
Yeah.
I remember. I think it was the Revenger, but seeing that essentially in the place of like the two dashes, it was like this one, and visually I loved it, so I took that.
Yeah,
and
I just like some more literary.
Those stylistic choices, even just on the formatting, do have.
Yeah,
there is part of the art of it, the craft of it. You know,
I've actually had a director on a Blacklist script that I wrote. I did like a draft for him or whatever, and at that point he wanted to go in and do his own thing, so I gave it to him, and then he sent it to me for my and he literally went through and chased every one of those back to the dash. I was like, what does that accomplish? It takes time to do that. You know?
It just bugged him. And that is the one thing a lot of writers tell you, don't do it because it could turn someone off and you don't want to turn anyone. But I don't give a fuck. We do it.
I don't give a fuck.
If that's enough to bump you, fuck you.
Exactly. I don't want to be in business with you. Fuck off.
Exactly.
Right. And I ended up taking that script back from him. I like the guy.
Did you put them all back in?
I don't. I can't use the draft that he did anyway. Like legally, I can't use it, so I went back.
Perfect.
Yeah. So
I wiped my ass with his draft, and then went back to mine.
Where do you stand on double spaces between sentences?
I don't do them.
Yeah, I don't like them. They bother me.
They don't bother me for whatever reason. I guess they bother me in the sense of like I try so hard to fit things.
Yeah.
Like visually on a page, I will try to like.
It looks weird.
Make it look, and for you to just like use spaces for nothing.
Right.
So that does
like a Jeet Kune Do guy. Like do away with all the superfluous. That's vestigial from a time of typesetting and shit.
Yeah. Right. No movements wasted. Yeah. So
what's the point?
It flows better with that one space. Anyway, Blue Ruin.
Dude, we barely talk about the movies half the time, which again, I don't know how much there is to say.
Yeah, I mean, I think I told Jason, I was like, I could maybe talk for 5 to 10 minutes.
Yeah.
You know what pissed me off? I went to watch it earlier this week. It was on Netflix. I went to watch it
that
last
happened to me
night. It
too.
was gone. It's not on
I was
Netflix.
halfway through. The next day, I was like,
No
"What
way.
the fuck?" I
Had to watch it
swear I
on
was watching
Tubi
it.
with commercials.
Well, so this proves that I love it. I have it on
rented
iTunes. I bought it like years
Yes.
ago. And so I sat down and watched it again on my new iMac. Which was
Nice.
cool.
One thing that good about selling a script, I think I bought my new iMac when we got that Zac Efron gig or something. No, Incorruptibles, that TV show pitch we sold.
Yeah.
There's so many things I want to just end up talking about writing, I guess, with you, because like I said, you're one of the few writers whose shit I really respect. Do you? Here's just a writing question, and I was looking back through some of our old scripts because we haven't written a script in ages, to be honest. With the pandemic shit, I got my kid home every day. Fucking, it's just.
I know, man. I don't read much either.
Well, I haven't even written.
Written.
No, I haven't written shit in forever. We were finishing Jack, etc. So I was looking back through some of our older stuff, and we use a lot of onomatopoeia. Do you use that? Do you use
sounds, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Like comic book, vroom when the motorcycle goes by.
I do, yeah. And sometimes I'm not really sure about it, and I'll even sit there like making the sound like brr, brr, like what is that?
Yeah,
what is that? You know?
I used to do that with drawing.
BTR.
Yeah,
right.
And then I'll even I'll look at. Sometimes I will go look at scripts like what's a script that I read where I remember that they did something like this, and I go find it and look at it, and I'll try to find the section like where's the page, what did they do. If I like it, but also sometimes I'll try to go look and figure out like, well, what they do so I don't do that, So if it's like a AK-47 or something like that, right? And they always write like Bert, B
versus
B with a lot of
Rat-a-tat
R's with a T, or Brat or something, but I'm trying to think of some other way to do that. But
most of the writing I've been doing outside of the stuff that Jay and I've been doing with the TV show pitch and things like that, but just on my own has been prose, and you don't do that in prose really. You know what I mean? You don't do like a room for a motorcycle. You know what I mean? Like you would.
True. I never thought about that.
You're selling image, sound. You're evoking a movie. Which is pictures and
with in a script. Yes, exactly.
Yeah, I guess
it feels right in a script to me, but not in prose.
There's nothing else that you can do to
at the same time
evoke something.
It started with just capitalizing the sound. Machine guns is capped or whatever. And sometimes I wonder if that's the way to go when I think tonally.
Yeah, we do that a lot too.
That if you're writing a serious scene with suspense in it and then you're throwing onomatopoeia and it starts to feel comic bookish, it kind of can fuck up tone a little bit.
I get that because I don't like it. Really?
Right.
Like I don't like having to do it, but I feel like I do have to do it for some reason.
To leap off the page a little bit.
Yeah, because it's not an object that doesn't do anything. Like it's an object that makes a sound and makes an impact.
And I'm evoking a sound.
Yeah. But so it's not
sound
like
is huge in movies.
But with the script, tone might be the most important thing of all. So if you're using the sound to fuck your tone up, it gets tricky.
It is. It's a balancing act. There's, I mean, for sure.
This is pure nerdy writing, craft talk and shit. I don't know for people out there that want to hear about Blue Ruin or anything else. Let me ask. Let's talk about genre a bit, because this genre is our wheelhouse fundamentally. Yeah. We do love horror shit too, but even our horror has always been elevated beyond and subverting tropes and shit.
It's always going to be like horror / thriller.
Yeah,
right. Thriller / horror.
Noir, there's an element of horror to noir. There's an element of horror to heist crime films, essentially.
Suspense for sure. Yeah.
Just crime in general. It's horrific.
Yeah. Just
the fact people victimizing each other and plotting against each other and shit. It's horrific, philosophically. So, what is it? And like, what age did you find yourself falling in love with this genre as a kid? Were you reading Jim Thompson novels and shit, or?
I mean, honestly, growing up, I read like what was assigned to me in school. Same. I mean, as a kid, I loved reading for sure. But then I got to a point where, like, at least culturally, there were video games to be played, and I was an athlete, so I was.
Yeah, you were a ball player, right?
Yeah, and I was playing ball like every summer. My grandfather had a tobacco farm at the time. That's my uncle's now, but I worked there all the time. So I mean, I was fairly busy, but I mean, I definitely grew up reading books as a kid to the point where I was like really good in spelling bees. I was a really good speller. But I don't know, gravitated away from it at a point.
Did you find when you fell into the jock thing, being a ball player, that reading is something you didn't want to lead with and shit?
I don't know if it was like a conscious thing, but I think you sort of, you mirror the people around you in a way. Or at least I certainly do. I think I've always said like I'm a mimic, of people, and I don't even mean to be. Yeah, I become the people I hang around, and
chameleon.
I mean, there just wasn't a lot of. I mean, nobody was reading books. I mean, I got into college, and then I had some friends who were actually like, into like selling drugs and all that, but they like. At least one of them like read a whole lot.
He's like reading William Burroughs and Hubert Selby.
That does books. He would give me books and
overlap in the Venn diagram there. Yeah.
Drugs, bitches. What position did you play when you played ball?
Pretty much everything. It was mostly outfield because I was faster. Third base because I was
good arm,
quick twitch and good arm. And then I played first base. My senior year, man, my coach threw me into first base, which is something you have to know how to play. Like, there's a lot to it. It's different from everything else. And I ended up almost breaking my arm because I didn't know how to.
Were you a lefty or a righty?
A righty. So I'm catching with my left arm, and someone threw. Can't remember. I guess the catcher threw a ball to me. There was a base runner. I put my hand out, like right into the base
path. Just got scrunched.
It went the wrong way, and I blacked out. And
here's what I was getting at. I think if you were a pitcher, you could have been more apparent with a reading, like Barry Zito. These pitchers who can cultivate an image of being Greg Maddux, the cerebral guy, the reader, etc. Yeah, but when you're just a position player, you're the reader. People are like, what the fuck you doing, bro?
Yeah, sorry, I'll just go on tangents if you let me.
Oh, geez. That's what you talking about, man. Like I said, who knows where this shit will be by the end of it.
Well, you were talking about the like horror / thriller, suspense, and speaking on Blue Ruin.
Yeah, I definitely
a lot of. Go ahead.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no, I was just gonna say in terms of books, like I definitely got into Stephen King. The Dean Koontz,
same.
It was the stuff that you could read quick, in a day or two.
Our mom was a big Stephen King fan, so there were books laying around, and we pick them up, and
and then probably pretty obviously I got into Cormac McCarthy, and then there was pretty much like just no looking back opinion, once I picked up the road.
That's that DNA between us where we say
Blood Meridian.
They
just the shit.
And that's been a pretty common, I think, theme in pretty much everything I write now is something Cormac McCarthy-esque.
Yeah, which is hard to describe by any term except that, because it's kind of its own thing, and it's like you're not trying to do exactly what he's doing,
right? But you don't want to clone or I
don't even know
you
how
want to be your own thing, but it's a huge influence.
There's there's a Southern Gothic aspect to it, but
very literary still though. Like a lot of it's just the way the language itself,
Yeah.
So you're a language geek like us.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely like you said, the low dweller. I mean, that was something that spoke to me. I think the first time I read it, I was like, okay, I can do this because that's what I like.
Exactly.
Like
you hadn't seen it. You read. I read scripts of even like check out Tarantino scripts or what's his name, Scott Frank, writing Elmore Leonard shit, Out of Sight, stuff like that I loved, but it still didn't do that.
Yeah, I mean, because there's that thing to it, right? There's that like. The expertise or the mastery of the craft is supposed to eventually you're supposed to get there where it's all sparse and pared down, right? And you're just getting across everything you need to, and there's nothing else wasted, But that to me is just I don't love that, That's not what I love about it, And I feel like you're missing an opportunity to evoke other emotions, I think, in the in between. Do
you ever find yourself wanting to write prose instead where you can really indulge in the language because it's so lost in a script and all it comes across is this writer has a good voice, but it's unfilmables a lot of times. Shit,
and it's a finished product when you're done. You don't require.
Yeah, I mean, I had a script that was I think I told Nate about this, but that was on the border. It was a border thriller set around like human trafficking, drug trafficking, and all that. Anyway, it had a Hispanic lead, which I think made it like really difficult for. I mean, I don't think. I mean, I was even told it's great, but it limits it. Well, no, actually, no, but there could be some subtext.
That's where my mind went to. There was a big controversy. Was that American Dirt or something like that? That whole controversy.
Well, there was just now. There was that. That David Ayer movie with Shia LaBeouf.
The Tax Collector. The idea of cultural appropriation.
A Hispanic character.
That white guys can't tell Hispanic stories, or actors can't play Hispanic characters, whatever.
Well, at least in this one, he was half Hispanic, half Mexican, half American, or half white, whatever the fuck you want to say it.
Yeah, our show, The Incorruptibles, he was full-blooded Mexican, raised by American parents and shit. But
yeah, and my opinion on that is, and I don't want to get controversial, but anybody can tell anybody's story. It's not anybody's story to tell unless it's like
that's what storytellers do.
Yeah, that's part of the value of writing is getting in other people's heads and
if you get it wrong,
you
get it wrong. I mean, to me, and that's
right. You might not be able to be 100% authentic,
That goes both ways. You can be not white and write somebody who's a white character and maybe not get it right too. But I mean,
you can be white and every white people and get it wrong
anyway,
and black and write black people and get it wrong.
Yeah, right. And I don't want to be like insensitive. I understand in terms of like
certainly
if I were to get it wrong, there's a little bit more
that's fair
behind that. Yeah, I get that. But anyway, that wasn't really what it was. It was just that it's hard to cast a movie when you've got like the main person in the movie is
which is sad.
White.
Which is sad because there's so many
I don't know why
articles I'll read about Netflix, et cetera, these buyers looking for that demographic because that's the fastest growing demographic. And
and I'm sure there are some companies that would take it. I mean, I have there is a producer attached to it right now, and we got a young Mexican director who's awesome. So we're trying to cast it, but I have kind of learned that is true. I mean, we've gone to like a handful, and you only got a few left that can bank a movie.
And it's this ridiculous bottleneck where everyone you bring up all these amazing actors and you hear they're not a meaningful attachment. They don't move the needle and shit. Yeah. And you're like, what are we doing here?
And not only that, it's always changing too. It's like literally every fucking week there's a new list and somebody might not be on it.
Right.
You know? So I do understand it. But anyway,
we need really Benicio del Toro type, instead of like, it moves past
but
the
like,
original person.
There's only so many days in a year for each of these guys.
Right.
And if it's a bankable Hispanic actor, those guys are working.
They're banked. They're booked out for 3 years.
Right. And they're working on like actual movies with actual money. Right. So why should they do your movie with no fucking money behind it? Right. The only thing that's going to get them to do it is that it's more lines or it's a subject matter they care about or whatever. But
I feel like all these producers who are chasing that brass ring, golden calf attachment or whatever would be much better off trying to find new innovative ways to market an unknown star or something and build a star versus trying to just lazily fucking plug in whatever star that's going to have overseas foreign pre-sales and shit to help you fund your stupid movie.
Like we did with Gaul.
Right. Exactly.
Gaul has a great Hispanic accent if he turns it on.
In our case, obviously I'm saying for his case.
Right. What was I going to pros? Yeah. So that was disappointing. Right. Sort of languishing. I even got it to a really good company. I may have even told you about this, Jason, that like I did a bunch of work on trying to retrofit that into a limited series. Right. Did a ton of work on that. And I just one day, like literally my manager called me and was like, hey, they're passing. I was like, I didn't even fucking know they could do that at this point. But we hadn't signed anything. So anyway, extremely disappointed. I was like, I'm done with this fucking shit. But I had done that outline, right? It was like a 20-page outline for, an 8-episode series. Yeah. And I was like, well, I'm just going to write a novel then, and I'm going to use it as my outline. And so, I've been doing that. I'm about like 50 pages in. I plan on about 250.
Dude, I would read the fuck out of an Adam Barker novel.
Totally, man.
Yeah.
I think the big problem is no one fucking reads. That's our thing, because I tend to prefer prose overall, but I mean, would be much more likely to.
I think me too. Yeah, I can't remember the last thing I read. It was probably Cormac McCarthy, but
it's just tough to find the time, man.
Yeah,
it is.
Yeah, it's also tough in terms of motivation because, like, I have the. We're just going down on a tangent, but like I have the novel I'm working on from the outline for the limited series from the feature, and I have the feature with a producer with a director attached, and they're like currently, and I'm like, well, if that goes, then I don't even know if I can finish the novel. I don't even know.
Yeah, actually, I mean, I got pretty deep into a Mechanicsville novelization. We've done that with that old script Heart that first broke us in, kind of, and it's like
I remember that.
It's just that's what sucks. It almost makes you want to just leave the business altogether. But you always got one foot in, and it's just when I went out, they pull me back in.
They do.
You get this movie with Niro going and shit, and you're like, I was ready to check out.
That's definitely going to force your hand, you know, to some degree.
Before Watch Me in the River, like, actually went, I was working on that novel, and I was like, you know what? I love this. I love, like, actually sitting down and just writing. And I'm not working on 5 fucking different things at a time in a format that I feel like doesn't give anything back to me in a way, you know? And I was like, I feel like we could move back home, like back to Kentucky, and I could be happy writing like one novel cheaper. A year. Or whatever, making a little bit of money. And I think I could be good at it anyway. So, but then like Watch Me in the River goes, I'm like, okay. I guess I got to write a new script.
See how it plays out.
Finish.
There's no reason you can't do both, alternate and stuff. You know,
the real pimp move is
one feeds the other.
You go to those people who are attached. They have a contract and everything, or are they just shopping agreement? Or you?
It's a shopping agreement. Yeah. I wish it was something.
Like, yo, I'm writing a novel, y'all. Use that as to motivate them to get it made. Because you know what? If this shit lapses, I'm not going forward with it. So there's not gonna be no more free options or any of this shit.
Yeah.
I'm gonna write a novel.
I mean, I'm sure at the end of the day, they'll probably go to like, 5 more actors, and at that point, they'll be like, COVID's
a good excuse to say we failed and shit. But
that's true. That's true.
And maybe the novel will have some success, and then you go make the film anyway, and now you got both. Well,
that was my thinking on it. Is like I don't think it will happen, and I think it needs that IP for it to for something like that, like a challenge, something challenging to get going. So
we told Ryan, we've told a bunch of people, shit, Baby Teeth. Zoe, how do you say her name? Stage. I don't even know how to pronounce her name.
Sohei or something like that.
Yes.
Yeah, but no, I know who you're talking about. Yeah, like, she started writing.
I was one of the first people who were like, you should just, because always complaining about Hollywood, how unfair it is, and this and that. And I'm like, go write a novel.
Dude, that fucking worked out. That worked out for her.
She's on her 3rd novel with a publisher now. Has made tons of lists and fucking. I mean. And now it comes with its own set of headaches.
That's kind of the dream to me, right? Yeah, and you get on one thing, and you know that it will be published, I guess, if you have a deal, which is cool. And you just don't know that when you sit down to write a new script. And
there's just, it's not this actor said some crazy shit or got canceled or whatever, and this and that, and the director and
all these dependencies.
You wrote it, that's it. And if you make a name on one novel, she could at this point start self-publishing probably.
Yeah,
have her own audience.
Speaking on the subject of autonomy, which is like what Nate was talking about, that's what that is to me. Yeah, it's like you get to be autonomous.
And there's no budget. You can write whatever the fuck you want, and you force the reader to use their imagination and flex that muscle.
And the value of it doesn't depend on the results. Like, it doesn't depend on what someone else does with it or what. Like you guys did. You can just publish it yourself. It's straight from your fingers to someone else's mind.
Now it's to no one's not mind because no one knows about it.
Right, exactly.
Unless you market the fuck out of it.
Rob.
Yeah, right. But you can take that, it can be a PDF, and you can send it to someone and say, this is what I'm doing.
You ever read Martin Eden by Jack London? That's one of our all-time favorite books, where Martin Eden is semi-autobiographical. So Jack London, this young writer, former merchant marine type dude, and he's just struggling writing and working in laundry presses and shit in like turn of the century Oakland. And it sucks and it's oppressive and it's about capitalism. You probably love this book, actually. And he finally breaks through with this book. And then all the shit that had been rejected 1,000 times by every publisher, everybody wanted. And that's the thing, too. We always hope for, like with us, if it's not Jack, then something else will break through. And eventually we'll find our audience. And then there'll be all this shit. That's what Malcolm
Spellman told me, man.
Waiting for them.
Back when we were at the same management company, I think my manager at the time, I had him call me because he knew I was like disgruntled and not happy there. Like, and so he did. And we talked about like this thing I was working on. And anyway, he told me like, keep writing what you want to write. And cause he was saying he'd been through it and he had written stuff and his managers were like, we're not sending it out. He was like, are you fucking kidding me? Like how much time I spent on this? We're not even going to send it. And I remember thinking like, why the fuck didn't you just leave, go somewhere else? But he said he just kept writing stuff and eventually something hit. And all those scripts they said weren't good enough to send out. People were asking for them now. And he said that he can create more opportunities with the things that didn't work, before.
Yep. And in the book, he was so bitter about it. He would call it work performed. All these fuckers want is work performed. I've already done it. They don't want the next thing even or whatever. Now the book ends with him. I don't even want to blow it. Read it, man. It's a good book.
I mean, I was going to say it's not what he hoped it would be in the end. And
it's an all-time great ending, dude.
Yeah. And that's like the existential problem was the thing that you always wanted was the thing you never needed.
Or attaining the thing you wanted and realizing it wasn't shit.
Yeah.
You wanted the wrong thing all along.
And you wasted so much time, so much of your life and years.
Exactly. A lot of fighters even talk about getting the belt, and then they're like, "Okay, I just woke up the next day. It's like turning 40. It's the same shit.
Yeah.
Like, what now?"
And I'm sure you guys experienced this, but I definitely felt that with Watch Me in the River. Like I literally got the notification on my phone, like you got a transfer or whatever to your bank, and I go look at it. I was on the phone with my attorney. We were talking about like, when the fuck are they gonna send anything? We don't even know.
Nice.
And I was like, hold on, put you on speaker, look through there. I was like, holy fucking shit.
Just hit.
That's the most money I've ever seen in my life for sure. And it didn't mean anything. Really. I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, it's cool, And
the money's easy come, easy go. You got bills, student loans, all this shit. It's spoken for almost anyway.
Yeah. I'll hit cloud 9 momentarily. It's fleeting though, and then it's.
Like, and as a writer, you're like, how long do I got to make this last? Because who knows when the next payday is.
Exactly. That was all it was I was like, oh, this will make the next couple of years easier. For
exactly.
Sure.
That's how you got to look at it.
Which is
honestly
the welcome thing for sure. So.
But you definitely, I mean, and you don't even know what it's supposed to be. There's no like expectation of what it's supposed to be, but it's never exactly the feeling that maybe you thought it would be.
Right. We're just a bunch of depressive motherfuckers. The same way.
And hedonic.
He's like, I made the Oprah Book Club. Whatever. Going to the Santa Fe Institute, motherfuckers.
I even told my wife, I was like, I know it has to be annoying to be happy for someone who's not happy for themselves, But
dude, my wife deals with that all the time, probably.
Yeah.
I'm so proud of you. I'm so happy. Like,
I know I always get, are you excited? Because we have some big meeting or whatever, or, we won a project.
That ship sailed excited? Years ago.
Excited? I don't get excited, I guess.
No.
That ship sailed, hit an iceberg, sank, fucking had a movie made about it. Fucking.
In fact, like I'll be like, man, I wish I didn't have to do this meeting. I don't want to have to
right. It's more of like, are you serious? Right. Like
sit on the 405. That's another thing about being a novelist, man. All these meetings, all that bullshit just disappears.
That's what I thought. Yeah. I mean, I've thought that, like taking these general, which by the way, and I hope nobody watches this, I fucking hate general meetings. I hate them more than
they're awful. They're like dating with dudes you don't want to fuck.
But I hate general meetings. Yeah. I hate them.
There's a little part of it that I enjoyed because it was me and Jay rolling around LA and,
smoking
cigarettes. That's kind of fun and cool. But it's over, the actual like pitch meetings are.
That was like the misadventures of Chris and Jay and shit more than anything.
Yeah. Well, because so I'm up in Santa Barbara. It's about an hour and a half drive to go down to LA. And we're going on a year of the pandemic, right? Of doing Zoom meetings. So about a year ago, I literally took a meeting like the day before California was locked down. I like drove down there and took a meeting with an actor and everything. But it was fine. I mean, I love driving around but taking the Zoom, you would think Zoom meetings would be better, and they're not. I'm just like,
because then you don't get the experience of the kind of just like making your way across LA, which often sucks, but it's still when it's these little
you feel like a screenwriter
adventures.
I felt like I was like
the lots are amazing. The studio lots, and then like between meetings you'll stop in a little a cafe or whatever and stuff. That kind of shit's awesome.
It's almost it was just it feels like to me, at least right now, I'm like, why are we even out here? Because we shouldn't be here. I could do this from Kentucky. Like we moved out here. I had 2 years of taking meetings and stuff, and now it's been a year of sitting at home, which I can do anywhere.
That's kind of why we too wanted to. Chris and I don't know if you've watched any of our podcasts or whatever. We talk about this shit all the time. Is there a way?
I don't know. I listen to one of them.
I wouldn't, but I would. Our shit's the shit. Fuck all of you. But the point being, is there a way to usher in this era of the creative middle class? Can you make teacher money or whatever, like your spouse doing this shit, or does it have to be fucking rags or riches or feast or famine? That's what sucks about being a screenwriter, dude.
If I could do that for Kentucky, man, with like an actual fucking house with the yard and everything, make 60 grand or whatever it is. It goes a lot further there. If I can do that from there, my wife still has her good job. I mean, I'd be happy.
I think we should all be writing novels, dude.
Yeah, but that's it's probably the
I was even thinking maybe if that version of Wash Me in the River you made, you could have made for 20 grand, and you could sell it for 500 grand or some shit.
Yeah.
But then it's like make another one, and then you're away from the wife, and the wife has to have shoulder the whole burden with both the kids while you're out fucking making movies and shit.
I know, yeah. Like I don't even think I could do it. Yeah, I couldn't even.
Because when you make a movie like that, you're not getting paid to make it. That's
no, and I'm
like
watching all these people on Instagram, right? Like and like I'm going down, like I'm looking at the director's Instagram, and then he gets like tagged by someone else who's like a DP. So I'm like, okay, DP, I'm following him. I'm like going down through there, making a list of all the people involved in the movie or a post on Instagram, and then I see them all go home, right? And it's over. They go home, and they all got kids, and I'm like, I don't think I could have done that. Like even if they offered to fly me out to Puerto Rico to be on set and be a writer on this movie, I think I would have turned it down. I got two kids at home. I'm not
right. And not only you don't want to leave the spouse in lurch with the kids, and who knows what they got going on, but
yeah, like I don't want her to take up that slack, and she's got her own job and everything. But also, I just missed all that time with my kids, which I love.
Like, don't get me wrong, I'll take a couple of days of solitude in the woods just to write or something, but I don't need weeks away from my kid. I love my fucking kid. It's the best thing in my shitty life. So, like other people sacrificing for your dream, that's one of the more difficult parts, I think, of like having a big dream. You know, you don't want to definitely had a lot of that.
Take that load. Yeah. But so Blue Ruin.
Yeah. I have no idea how much time we have left, but one thing I was going to say
about the movie specifically, scenes and shit or anything, because there's a lot to like and talk about.
Yeah.
And just generally, you know, the family war happening gave me this Hatfield and McCoy vibe.
Yeah.
That like I remember going back to like Huckleberry Finn and shit. I forget the names of the families, but there was a Hatfield and McCoy inspired, you know, feud going on. And I remember as a kid, just like we were talking about reading like what school assigned you when you were young and stuff. And that I remember that being really horrific to me. The idea of these families just like fucking shooting each other up and stuff, you know, and just the backwoods and shit. Yeah.
Of a world to live in, you know.
Well, it's this idea of you're perpetuating a cycle or whatever, right? So you fall into it, which can be like addiction or something like that too, where it's kind of an inherited disease or something like that, and you have to break the pattern and no one ever does. I think that's in the movie too. It's like in the end, that kid like puts the gun down, right?
He wants to stop, but he's like, I have to kill you because spoiler, you know, because can I trust that you won't come after me, you know?
Yeah. And it just continues for whatever justice.
And that's like sectarian violence, war, tribalism, Republicans sniping with the Democrats online and shit. It's all kind of the same thing. We break into these groups and then you're like, wait, why are we fighting? I understand why these factions are fighting, but why the fuck? Kind of that
you get to a point where like you didn't do anything to me and I didn't do anything to you, but it's our shared
the ceasefire, Christmas and World War I and shit. Like let's stop for a minute. What the fuck?
And you're right, like that goes right into politics where you can talk to someone who's like on the other side and it's like, I don't even know you don't know me.
And if we don't bring up politics, you're chummy.
Just play video games and
you're a Capulet? I'm a Montague? What the fuck?
Right, but it's if you bringing that whole like reservoir of all the things that are associated with that
baggage
identity, the way you identify yourself, you know. But anyway, I mean, in terms of Blue Ruin, I mean, so I love the backstory to it, the way that they made it, for sure, and what they're able to do with that, with the way that they made it, is so impressive,
so well done.
But
the
like
cinematography, the violence, almost, you know, the way the violence was handled was great, like pitch perfect for me.
Yeah, and it never continues for too long. Like there are sections of the movie that feel almost like a different movie at times, you know, and it starts to subvert its own setup expectations, you know. But what I like, I think most is like, I mean, the character is great. I don't think that dude speaks like for like 15, 20 minutes or something.
Yeah, when he finally does, he's talking to his sister. He's like, I haven't talked for a long time.
Yeah.
And he sounded like, hadn't talked. I wonder if the actor, I'd love to get
sold it. Yeah.
If more actors in here and shit as we grow the show and ask like a dude like that. Like, did you ever see Child of God? Speaking of Cormac McCarthy.
Yeah.
Scott Hayes, dude. Who the fuck is Scott Hayes, bro?
Dude, that was incredible. I love that movie. But it's like a movie where it's like you can't recommend it to everybody.
Well, we make CACTUS JACK again. You know what we consider?
We recommended it to the wrong people for sure.
We have recommended it and watched them watch it.
That's a good fucking movie, dude.
But dude, that Scott Hayes guy, you talk about a performance, but this is what I'm getting at. He went and lived in caves for like 3 months before filming this shit.
For real.
James Franco.
That could be a little overboard.
Did he make him, or I thought
the dude just did it.
Hayes just optional. He
the dude did
to
it.
do it. Yeah, exactly.
That's his character work. Well, see, James Franco and that Scott Hayes dude apparently met in some acting classes, and Franco said Scott Hayes was the baddest motherfucker he'd ever seen. He's like, I want to be like this guy, but he just got completely derailed by drugs and being insane. Kind of a Klaus Kinski, but a Klaus Kinski doesn't fit in this era and shit. You know what I mean? This corporate era. Yeah. So the guy kind of just sort of got his shit together finally. And when Franco got the rights to this Cormac McCarthy shit, Child of God, he went and checked in, and the dude was good enough to go, but still insane, obviously, because he went and lived in caves literally for like at least weeks.
Well, it worked out, man. That was good casting then, because that's
amazing. That's one of the best.
Sounds like the character
ever.
Yeah,
I'll put that dude in any movie.
I want to know what he's doing now.
For real.
What he's
He's got that stank on him, man. He's done some shit. I feel like he's been in like Justified type shit, you know, shit like that.
Yeah, I was gonna say I can't remember one thing that I've seen. Usually I can at least like, oh, what's that thing that I know I recognize, but I don't recognize it.
Dude, I'm telling you, Scott Hayes,
back into the mists, man.
Went back into the cave and he had to come back out.
Yeah, he's living in the cave right now.
He's fucking some dead special needs girl cave somewhere.
He's still method acting.
It's from the movie, you motherfuckers.
Right.
Cancel Franco.
He was in Venom.
Too late.
He was in Venom in 2018.
Hey, maybe he's had a character actor career now. Playing.
I mean, he is like a good-looking dude, so I could see him being in some more commercial stuff.
But his top credit is still Child of God. When this is the first thing that pops.
Probably
gotta get him in Mechanicsville and shit, though. Like, dude, he as the heavy. That dude's the truth. He could be Tom Hardy level shit.
Untapped resource, man.
Fucking amazing. Weapon. I don't know how I got on his nuts, but that kind of goes back to what I was talking about earlier about that Macon Blair. Find your Macon Blair, find your Scott Hayes, find your R. Michael Gall. Without it, I don't advise trying to make a movie. If you don't got a killer actor who can carry that shit, it's gonna suck, dude.
That's what I was telling Nate. I was like, I only plan to be in it because I don't know anybody else, right? Like, I'm not gonna say like I'm a great actor, but I think I'm a good actor and I think I could do it. But like, if there was somebody else who I thought was really good, and they would do it for cheap, I'd go with them. You know?
Well, and for you to go make your own thing and star in it, that's a whole different thing. That's willing a movie into existence kind of shit. Which and there's a proud tradition of that even on a major level with the Eastwoods and the Costners and the I mean, how many actors have got best director Oscars? William Wallace, as the role that didn't even get nominated yet he won for directing.
Which, man, I respect that so much because even the idea of it is it's so much more scary being the person behind the camera directing yourself, because I think like to have the balls to act on a camera, like it can come from, it helps a lot to have people behind the camera like believe in you, right? Like, well, this person chose me for the role, so I'm here, and his belief in me allows me to believe in myself. But it's like, if
you have to just carry yourself. You feel like everybody else says, like, what the fuck are we even here for, man?
Well, think about this shit. I wonder if, I'm starting to formulate this theory even in real time as we speak. What if directing yourself kind of helps create a stronger directing? I don't know what I would say. You do a better job directing because
you believe in you.
And more credibility.
Not only that,
with
but
the
actors. None of those movies call attention to the directing. They're all performers movies. They're not doing tricky, crazy shit with cameras.
True,
There's no CGI. Clint Eastwood puts the shit in a spot. As the actors act. Tilt, pan, whip if you need to another cleverly framed, classically framed shot. Same with Costner, whatever.
That was a great thing about Blue Ruin, that it was shot like that. It didn't get in the way at all. The score was minimal. It was just, you were there in the scene.
Right.
You know?
And I think of directors, like I think of Nick Refn. We're going to be doing Drive tomorrow with our buddy Mike Morin episode of the show.
Yeah, that's a good one.
And I love what Nick Refn does, but at the same time,
cool. I'm glad it's out there too.
Yeah.
It's definitely much more, look at me, I can direct. Look how awesome I am as a director.
Oftentimes we feel like they're trying to justify it, right? The justification for being chosen or getting money behind it,
it's like contrived, actually, by definition. It's every decision you make that goes beyond like what's minimally economical and necessary is a bit of a contrivance.
Our favorite shit's usually like Michael Haneke, just stick the camera in a spot and let's see this shit unfold.
But that is fun though sometimes, like it's similar.
Still right, like to like filling the writer's hand in dialogue, right? Like it was something feels forced, or you feel like that's not character, that's writer forcing something. And you can have the same thing, the director's
hand, but when the director's too busy acting,
or whatever.
He's not doing that shit.
Right, exactly.
You can't get lost in that.
So it's almost a thing to think about if you're directing.
It's a good point.
If you were to direct yourself, though, I'm saying, I bet your directing job would come out pretty good because it'd be pure, dude. It'd just be like, what's the information we need in the scene? Let's focus on performance, you know?
Yeah.
Which at the end of the day, that's what it is.
Yeah.
All the camera movements and CGI, none of that shit matters at all.
Yeah.
Usually my issue with any of these movies is connecting with a character, giving a fuck if they live or die or win or lose, you know, and I usually don't. That's my problem. Any movie comes along and makes me give a fuck about the character, I'm in.
Well, and also having a writing background, that helps because you understand that, like, really the job, whether the film will succeed or not, number one, matters in the script stage, right? So on the script, you're making people care about that character, and you're doing all that that heavy lifting right there. And the rest of the jobs really are just get the fuck out of the way, get out of the way of the script and let it.
But that's so the opposite of how they approach it in Hollywood.
Yeah, often, the
script rarely. Tom Schulman, Oscar winner, just came on our podcast for Dead Poets Society. We somehow pulled off this little mini reunion thing.
I watched a little bit of that too. Yeah.
He said one of the things when he first was talking to Peter Weir about it. Well, actually, he said he was watching Witness with his wife. And he's like, man, if we could just get that fucking guy, the guy who directed Witness, to direct my movie, that'd be amazing. And then like got the call the next day or whatever, some shit.
Oh, shit.
That Peter Weir wanted to do it or something. Anyway, we were asking him, like, what did you learn from Peter Weir? Because he got to essentially shadow the guy. And he said on the first day, Peter Weir turned to him, the writer, and said, why aren't you directing this? And it's true.
Because they won't let me. That's why. You're right.
Yeah, right. My name's not big enough.
Right. Yeah, but you can make that movie on the cheap, maybe, without stars. Without, you know what I'm saying? It's like, it's
You're
a
right,
question.
though. I mean, often it comes down to just belief in yourself and actually just, and I did that on Dig, my Blacklist script. I got to a point where I went through 2 directors and I said, it's never going to fucking happen, man. It's been so long. They've gotten attached. We had Pierce Brosnan attached at one point. We had Ian McShane attached at one point.
I remember that shit.
Legend.
Yes.
Yeah. And it didn't happen. And at least one of them was a good director. And I was like,
but they're never going to care like you do. Yeah. Where they're going to Scott Cooper it and turn it into some other shit.
Well, actually, the first director is a producer who was attached to it. And I went to him and I said, you can have it back, but with me directing. He was like, okay. I was like, really? And then we went and met with an actor, and I was like, yeah, I'm the director. I've never made anything. He was like, fine, I don't care.
Dude, they don't give a fuck. If they meet you and they think you can handle it and you got the vision.
Yeah, and there's this belief that, like, well, I haven't done it. Or, I mean, I did have a short film. That actor didn't even watch the short film. You know, like, it didn't care. It was like, it was more about the script for him.
Yes.
You know? So,
and like, I'll take that ride with this director who might turn out to be huge. And I was in his first movie and helped break him in, and I could get roles in all his movies. Look at the Coen brothers, and they get that little stable of actors that have been with them since the beginning and shit.
Right.
You know?
Right. It just comes down to, I mean, what's that budget?
Macon Blair is that for Jeremy Saulnier. He's in Green Room. He's, you know,
and everything. That's true. Yeah, he got in at the ground floor, essentially.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. You become this team and shit, and you just keep making movies and keep getting paid to do it, hopefully. That's the hard part. There's so many little moments, if we are going to talk about Blue Ruin, of just...
Yeah.
I mean, first off, the verisimilitude is huge to us. This realistic shit. I don't want Charles Bronson out getting revenge and saying one-liners and shit to dudes as he shoots him in the face or
That's
whatever.
Still fun, though.
It is fun. It is fun.
Yeah, it can still work, right? Yeah, but this thing works
it's
because...
not this rarefied air,
Yeah, it knows that that's the expectation, and it subverts it, right?
It's so much more immersive. So much more immersive when you're like, this is how it feel if I did this shit. If someone killed my parents and I wanted to get them to be this messy and shitty and but he's got to be.
The ineptitude was great.
He's a thinker.
Because almost always, right, it's always the perfect guy for the job that happens to be the guy in the position to do the job, right? So it's like John McClane just happens to be in the fucking tower when it happens.
Yeah.
Right? Or
like
Liam
Taken
Neeson.
with Liam. Exactly.
It's his fucking daughter that's taken. Of course, it's his. But in this,
it's kind of a pet peeve for me. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And that's okay, I guess, if it's like there's a buy-in for the audience, right? They're like, well, we want to see that. But at least in this one, it was like, what can you do different to set yourself apart?
That's just to me always speaks to me and resonates with me versus the big.
I want to see the everyman deal with it. Yeah.
Exactly. Which is super interesting. And not only that, it creates all these comedic moments, which are
like I was saying, the ineptitude is like part of the most
continually
fun of this.
just hilarious. Yeah,
scrambling. You're scrambling to I did this now. I got to do this because just when you like leave the hospital in a gown type shit. Like, you know, I love
or like the idea of like, well, I'm going to do a badass thing. All right, I'm going to stab this dude's tire, but you've cut yourself.
Yeah, now you need the car, and then you need that car as a getaway. So now he's driving with this thing that he fucking sabotage. It's great.
It is a comedy of errors in that regard, and it's kind of like, it's the error that comes
to break
with
the trigger lock and breaking the gun instead.
Yeah, and then that just goes back to
broke the gun.
Kind of what we talked with Nate was like, does it make sense for the character to do the thing? Right? Like, does it make sense at this moment? And everything that this dude does, it makes sense. Like, you buy it. You're like, yeah, of course. And he's almost like, he comes across like childlike, right? He's like stunted in development.
So even when some of the things he does aren't that smart, like he destroys the gun by trying to destroy the lock, you still get that character would do it. It's perfect.
Yeah, and it makes sense. Of course,
it actually kind of makes the character. It's how you know who the character is, by the fact that he would do it. You know?
Yeah. And it makes you root for him more too. I mean, this guy, he doesn't know things that I don't know, right? Like,
he's just not kicking ass and taking names.
And you truly believe that he probably can't. So that
one thing I love about it is just, again, the subversion where you think it was probably his kid killed or something, but the fact that the parents were killed.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that really speaks to the generational thing where if I bomb a fucking wedding party with a drone, that I just created a terrorist or whatever.
That's true.
That's essentially kind of what's going on here.
Same mechanism. Yeah.
You know, we were this normal family, like Charles Bronson, someone raped and killed my wife and kid. I'm going to go start getting revenge. I'm going to become this thing.
Well, and that goes back to whatever the family feud or whatever idea, the way that it's perpetuated generation to generation, that's probably going to be more like things happen to the older generation, passed down to me, the expectations of what I should do about it.
Well, like when those first two brothers come to his house and he's like, did you come here for me or them? Did you come here for me or them? But he was already out because he'd hit him with a car or whatever. But it's like, if it's just about me, we can just do this shit now.
Yeah.
Right.
Kill each other and it's done. I just want to know the family's going to be all right. And you're not going to go after these kids because you're such scumbags that you would go after.
And that's his fear too. His fear is that, and he knows it's probably true. Right, because that's what's been going on, I guess, in those two families for generations.
And it is interesting, though, that it was created by, like, your dad was wrapped up in some shit. Your mom kind of got caught in the crosshairs, right? That's the big reveal. Essentially, we do spoilers here. We don't give a fuck. But with the most widely read book in the world, the Bible, been spoiled, right? Pretty spoiled. People don't give a fuck. So, but that his dad was actually having an affair with the mom of the Wade family. So that's why the Wade dad killed him, but the Wade dad had terminal cancer. So the son took the blame for it. So the guy you've been wanting revenge on the whole time isn't even the right fucking guy. And your dad was all caught up in some shit.
Denied revenge.
I love that of it. That rings true. That usually it's misconceptions, preconceived notions, people jumping the gun, acting emotionally.
Yeah. And there's a lot of subversion, you know, of those expectations, you know, and there's so many layers that go down through it. Like, you can just feel like at the script stage, this story was worked on for years, you know, like that definitely all those layers and those moments, like even the moment where like the kid is in the limo, right. And like you said, comedy of errors, right. So he almost fucking died because he tried to do something he's not prepared to do, right. The guy almost killed him. That's what it takes for him to actually get the revenge, because he wasn't going to do it unless the guy tried to kill him. Right. Because he fucked it up in the first place. Then he drops his keys, which he doesn't know about. Then he comes out and tries to stab it and cuts his hand. Well, now he doesn't have the keys. Now he needs the fucking car that he just fucked up like an idiot. Now he's driving away, and there's a kid in the back, right? But then it's that kid who delivers that setup of information.
Beautiful.
Right? Like,
it's a great fucking movie.
Yeah.
And this is a great movie you can make for. Do you know what the budget was? Like, what did they crowdfund and how much they paid for out of pocket?
For some reason, I thought it was 800,000, but I just read that it was 300. So I don't know. I don't know if there's conflicting information or if I saw. And
I swear to God, I feel like you can make it for cheaper. Call me an asshole on this front.
Yeah.
I know people are like, you're unrealistic because you shoot it on an iPhone or whatever. Honestly,
it says
version of this shot on an iPhone ain't bad.
It says 420,000 on IMDb.
Okay.
Opening weekend 32,000.
That's the thing. All of my
Gross
favorite
US
movies lost money.
Right.
That's kind of when you know you're fucked in Hollywood. All
it made money worldwide at least.
But I would say that, you know, they probably sold it though. So who knows how much they sold it to the distributor for. They probably made their money back.
I don't know if they did.
And you're paid to make it.
Probably not the distributors. But I bet they at least sold that for $1 million, you know?
Yeah, worldwide they were in the black, but yeah, the US they wouldn't have made
Well, sometimes like you'll take that movie to Sundance or Cannes. I think they crushed at Cannes or some shit. Once an award, then they won an Indie Spirit Award with this, and then it's like,
it takes one.
Oh, now we hit the festival circuit. We can sell this movie for shit. Sundance. Look at this. Malcolm and Marie or whatever sold for like 30 million at Sundance. It's like two people in a room talking.
Wow.
What did they make that for? And then they sell it to Netflix for who knows how much, and it's crazy.
Wow. Okay. I know that like Andy Samberg comedy, it was like Groundhog Day essentially for New Generation. That sold for whatever. It was a record, whatever the record was. So
yeah, I remember Nate Parker's
like 20 or
Birth of a Nation was like 8 million one year, which was the record. And they just keep going up and up now.
Okay,
It's almost like baseball free agency in the million. 90s and shit, you know. But
but
I
that's
think it is
also
now.
Broader.
Right.
Let's hope one of us is next.
We're fucked. We're so out of the industry. That's kind of why we made Jack 2, to just so we could divorce ourselves. Like, no one's gonna hire us. We're done.
You're alone, right?
Yeah. Is it cool if I start filming now?
No, what do we get inside?
Why are you here?
I just thought it was really interesting, that someone hasn't left their basement in 6 months, not even to use the bathroom. Is that true?
Why would I want to go out there? I got everything I need right here. That's what's wrong with most people. They're weak-willed pussies and parasites who buy into that whole "it takes a village" bullshit. You know how many aliases I've used calling into radio shows?
I've had it up to my goddamn gills with the systematic feminization of this country.
Of course we want you. Get your own damn show if you think you got that much to say.
You live in your mom's basement.
Run! Get down!
Fuck you! What's so special about my loser son?
You really do hate your own mother.
She's a woman. Why wouldn't I?
There's some disconnect there, and if I could find it, what is hate? Where does it come from? Where does it go?
You want to know what gender you are? Reach down the front of your fucking pants and chew fucking kite. Black Lives Matter. Do you call horses slaves? Liberal fucktard. Enough with the parades and the rainbow flags.
Dude, this guy's... it's like pure hate, man.
I want to see something really fucking cool.
This guy is a fucking animal. He's got himself on a leash. He's itching to get off that fucking leash. And he's gonna fucking kill some people.
What a fucking show.
Stop!
What do we hear?
Look at me! Look at me!
We're gonna help you show them the light. We're gonna change the world.
This is Cactus Jack coming to you live from a studio audience.
To the man who calls himself Cactus Jack, we have watched as you have rocketed to infamy.
And you wonder why these cornered animals lash out. Pick a fucking side.
And now, we have watched as you have called for literal blood.
I know you're out there listening. It's buzzing in your ears, burrowing into your brain.
Do it.
Jack, you're gonna love this.
I pulled that trigger on that motherfucker's head.
Your VPN will not shield you. The darknet will not hide you. You and your kind are finished.
You think I'm scared of you?
Come and fucking get me!
Might I be your neighbor? Neighbor?